There is the language of compliance, and there is the tools and the processes that we have. Figuring out a gap between these two, like how do I translate what I have to a language that the auditor will understand? And that gap is kind of filled by Sprinto, and we were able to get a type 1 compliance very fast. In today's world, it's very important that you are compliant from day one. Security was a priority from day one, and you have to go through a lot of security questionnaires and audits by the customer if you don't have the compliance. It is not very easy to kind of map the right evidence that you need to show to the customer for those specific controls. Right? There's also a lot of security terminology which we may not be aware of, and we may not be answering the questions in the right way. There is the language of compliance, and there is the tools and the processes that we have. Figuring out a gap between these two, like how do I translate what I have to a language that the auditor will understand? That can cause some to and fro, and also the time taken to kind of answer all of these questions, and it becomes a repetitive process. Initial days it was fine because it's few customers, but as we started adding more customers, then it wasn't scalable. Being audited and compliance makes the process easier. It makes it easier to scale the level of security that you want in your organization, like the ideal level of security that you would want in your organization. It makes it easier to scale to that. There were some initial references, and using the references, I knew that people have used Sprinto to get SOC 2 compliance, right? So I just went ahead with those references. In previous companies, we worked with consultants, but I think that is a more laborious process and also not very cost effective. And Sprinto was around. Being in the SaaS ecosystem from India, we knew that there's a tool like Sprinto. And we had a demo, and then we thought that this might be the right way to kind of go ahead. So we started off with, okay, let's get a type 1 SOC 2. The onboarding process was pretty smooth. What to do on Sprinto, how to use Sprinto, what are things that needs to be in place, what are things that are currently lacking from a compliance standpoint in the company and that needs to be done. How do you integrate with the products that you use? What does each of the alerts mean, and how do you actually resolve those alerts and so on, right? So for that, during the initial days, there was like a weekly call out, and that was pretty smooth. We were able to get a type 1 compliance very fast. We were able to get it in a month's time or so, and that was like a good indicator that this will work out well for us. Given that Factors.ai is a data company, we pull in from multiple data sources, and we take the data integrated pretty seriously at Factors. And what we do to ensure is that we have all the right tools and processes in place. So there are a lot of practices which we knew that we need to do it, right? But because of the monitoring that is there in place, it is ensured that it is done, right? Some things, like you have to be careful when you set the permissions of your cloud buckets, right? Broadly though, we knew like the right structure that needs to be followed. Ensuring that it's followed is the harder part, right? And it makes it easier to ensure that it's being followed. What needs to be done, when it is to be done, both are taken care by Sprinto. All I need to then focus is on getting the processes and the evidences right, and using the tools in the right way, and the rest is taken care by Sprinto. Yeah, so it took a lot of burden, which I think a few years back, or at least 10 years back, it used to be very chaotic. Compliance doesn't seem so hard now, so it feels more achievable, easy to monitor and maintain, and hence, from a compliance standpoint, we intend to expand. We intend to be more strict about the way we operate on things and get to more certifications if needed, or get to more controls if needed. But since it's easier to be compliant, we want to be a lot more vigilant and compliant. The way I use the product is mainly look at alerts and then just click on those alerts and fix it. So the dashboard would be the favorite feature, and that's how you use it. Apart from that, the fact that it integrates with all the tools, relevant tools that we have, and kind of figures out what needs to be monitored within the group. It's a one-time thing, but integrates well with all the tools that we have, like PagerDuty, GCP, etc. Makes it pretty easy to use.